Thank you all very much. I'll try not to blow out the speakers. I didn't know about the round of applause. I'm going to steal that. I'll give you credit the first two times, then I can get
That's all you get. 2 times.
We will have candid conversations about the role of our Black professionals and also things that we talk about this long, beautiful day. And let's give a rousing round of applause to Ebony Allen. Who not only had a vision, but the persistence to make things happen. And even when things are tempted to do it,
That's right.
you do not have that. And this is what love.
This way.
So congratulations for
I think this way, because I think she was trying to make it closer for the lady on the end.
flow conference. All right, we're going to have a good conversation, not me, but Ebony has put together 5 amazing panelists. And it's going to be a conversation, and you're not just going to sit there. If there's something that you might think through, you're going to have an opportunity for you to speak as well and ask your questions. So I'd like to have a brief introduction to our panelists. Dr. Michael L. Benjamin Robinson is a licensed clinical
Should I be making
social
my way?
worker, educator, behavior health leader with more than 25 years experience in public health, mental health, and community advocacy. You can have a seat next to me if you'd like. His professional experience includes serving as an adjunct instructor at multiple universities and presenting nationally on mental health, HIV/AIDS, LGBTQ wellness, and social determinants of health. His work integrates clinical expertise, public health, leadership, social justice advocacy, and human relations. So please welcome. Come on in. Our next panelist will be joining us on the podium on the stage is Deshawn Ash, a dual certified nurse practitioner and healthcare leader with over 20 years of experience spanning acute care, primary care, urgent care, and school-based health. She currently serves as Chief, come on now, Nursing Officer of Care 11 Health. That's where she integrates clinical expertise and strategic innovation with a strong foundation in both direct patient care and operational strategy. She brings a solution-focused approach to healthcare challenges. Please welcome Mrs. Sean. Joining us next is Danielle Teague. Everybody calls her Coach Danielle. She is a work with ease coach and an organization dedicated to helping high achieving professionals redefine success beyond the ground. She's a graduate of the University of Louisiana. All right, that's you. And she redefines success beyond the ground and for 20 years in administration and operations. And through her multi-business workflow, she lets her background in technology and business operations and how busy is overcoming obstacles among other things. We welcome Danielle Teague. I might have to move my chair because I see everybody here. Well, she's amazing, and we'll go on in just a few. Linda Davis is joining us today, a leader, an entrepreneur, builder, innovator, best-selling author, facilitator, educator, licensed mental health consultant, executive leadership coach, and creator whose career has been redefined by possibility and purpose. And the hard work is that I deeply believe that education should open the doors, never close doors. And that attending to mental health is not optional, but must be purposeful and intentional. Please welcome Dr. Linda. Can we call her Dr. Linda Shaw? Yes, Mom, who's been us here and Alice here. And one of the panel is Dr. Wilma Davis, a licensed professional counselor supervisor, and national counselor with extensive experience in school-based mental health, counseling, education. Just a long, beautiful list of work. Her professional work spans more than a decade in middle and high school settings, where she has provided early intervention counseling, and she is amazing, serving in leadership and training roles in professional organizations, including the Louisiana Counseling Association and the Louisiana American School Counselors Association, which is all another Davis. So again, this is a conversation. I'm going to move something that I have on my website. We have time for all, so we're going to pass it out, see it, and everybody see it. What I'd like to talk about is unpacking today. Today is quite a few amazing things, and I love to get your perspective on what stood out to you. So I'd like to take a minute to just reflect on what has happened today. As you attend these various sessions, what, for example, stood out to you? What even surprised you? What challenged you? And what are you going to take away from today as motivation to continue doing the work you're doing? I'm going to start with, let's try to begin with Dr. Davis. And we'll have a couple lines and we'll you send it back, okay? All right, so what I participated in our meeting was the figure out the language. It always powerful to be able to win the right. It's been the religion. The word I heard was how we live in that, it's all we transform. I felt like everything that I found myself today, everyone gave to do with it because we all share lives. And that is a wonderful thing we need to do. I just think that in my group of reasons that I can share among other people, we're not glad, but I empower our students to go out and create for their family.
So first, thank you all for being gracious hosts. I always love my time in New Orleans. Thank you, Ebony, as well. This has been wonderful. Two things that really stand out for me is that this was a space that was specifically designed for Black clinicians to be together, and that is not something that is happening across the country. So the intentionality that was poured into bringing people who serve others together that have the same pigmentation as I do is really empowering. We often work in a lot of white spaces or spaces that were not designed for us to thrive in. And so for us to come and have our cups poured into while we are continuing to pour into other people is really powerful. And something that really stood out for me today, that I'm a researcher, is I want us to continue to think about the strong Black woman syndrome is what I call it. It was given a different name today, and how we can continue to unpack that as clinicians and to not carry the world's definition of strength around it, to create our own definition of that.
Look at it, what stood out to you, surprised you, maybe challenged some perception that you have, or how some of the way you need to go forward as a working discussion.
So, also thank you, Ebony, for following what was put on your heart, right? I'm probably the only non-clinician in the room. And what stood out to me was the community, was feeling welcome in the space, was, you know, I didn't feel out of place. I didn't feel anything of that sort. Learning a lot more about what you all experience on a, you know, higher and deeper level. So it was a great experience. I have a focus on Black women. And so having other people who are also dedicated to the overall health of Black women was amazing.
I'm going to pass the mic to you, Deshawn.
And so, what I learned today that for me was resiliency. Basically, seeing how it started and more behind the scenes. Unfortunately, I didn't get to sit in on any of the sessions with the things that I did witness. When I saw you, I went home and it was maybe 95 degrees inside there, and no one wanted to leave. Everyone was like, no, we're going to stay here, we're going to get the message here. That is something to me, and I said, thank you all for that. And so that just shows how resilient we are as people.
Two things that I care that people in this place have for the communities they serve. And just seems to be very clear in people's minds. The presenters' presentations are very intentional about making sure that those things are communicated. So that like excellence of individuals who are willing to give up their Saturday to be here and dedicated to the work they do to ensure that any other issues feel that they are successful in the community. So that really stood out to me.
Thank you all for sharing all of that, and you can feel it, you know, and again, that's how community is built and validated the work that we do. There's a lot of work that you do, right? It's not easy work, necessary work, but not easy work. So one of the things in this conversation that we're going to have deals with the domestic issues, not only trying to other issues, but also coming up with things that can be done going forward. So one of the areas I want to delve into, again, just 2 or 3 people that are microphones, and I know we'll all be helpful in the this. Let's talk about myths and mistrust when it comes to the work that you do and the people that you serve. What are some of those common misconceptions? And maybe I'll kick it off with this phrase that I'm sure everybody will have heard. What happens in this house stays in this house. And what does all of that do to impact how people believe that they are entitled to this type of help and support, but leaves on the table because of the things and myths in this discussion? Would like to go over that? Okay. That's not the first.
You want me to go first? Okay. So, this is an interesting question because I think this is a question that helps to keep us stuck as a community, and that's the word that I will use where what happens in this house stays in this house, or we'll hear a lot of spiritual sayings, just take it to God and He'll work it out, or all of that. And I think that we are often the carriers of the lineage that and the seeds that are planted and sown into us. And so it's important that we honor the past and honor the legacy and honor the ancestors, but we also have to understand that life evolves and that we have to continue to evolve and change. And so I would have never said to my 96-year-old grandmother that what you were saying to me is unfounded, because that's her lived experience, right? But what I will say is that we have access to things now that they didn't have access to. And so how do we tap into those new resources that are available to us? And so the reason why they created had their own medicinal medicines and things of that nature is because they didn't have access to other things. And so I think that it's our responsibility to break those cycles of dysfunction, is what I would call it. Some people call it a generational curse, or whatever language you give to it. When you know better, you are responsible for doing better. And so I think that as we become a more educated group of individuals, then we need to make sure that we are debunking, without being disrespectful, some of those myths that exist within our family, and adding new language and new vocabulary and new ways of being into the scene. And I think that they can both exist, honor the heritage, but how do we move the heritage forward, or we'll always be stuck?
Let's look at the biggest and then we're going to do Dr. Benjamin Robinson's discussion. So, when we talk about balance, we have to talk about what is culturally necessary. And so sometimes, as Black people, there are certain things that need to be learned because it's culturally liberating. So we're talking about keeping the heritage but also having knowledge. And I think that's what's very important. We have to also be able to support what is important in the opportunities to do this. And what is we as historians just toxic for us all, right? right? And so I think there needs to be larger conversations about what does it talk about history that we need to keep, and also education, and also when I think that's the way we are with everything.
I'll just add to that. What you said was spot on. I love the fact that both of you, spoke about how our heritage and our ancestry. Because I think that gives us like to where that type of phrase comes from. It was in its intention to be because there is something protected in us.
That's right.
That's
right.
So I see it was designed to keep the honor of them.
That's right.
To keep us from getting out. To keep us resilient. But as my colleagues mentioned, there is this other side to which allows you to stay close to our resources that don't allow for you to expel, to feel isolated and to foster mental health. So
I'm just gonna quickly add, because I can't.
That's right.
Another thing that we always want to be mindful of is this concept of safety.
Yes.
We're talking about trust and mistrust, right? And we know that historically, our ancestors and those who came before us could not trust people in certain positions. And so the idea that what happens in this house stays in this house, it isn't just all on the side. It comes from not having a safe space. That's why moments like this are important, so that we can come together, call a thing, and then go out to the world and create a safe space that our ancestors did.
That's right.
That's one area that we talked about.
I was like, I know she only wanted 3 or 4 people to speak. But I loved what you said about, it's all about respect too. Because I think sometimes the younger generation, and I love that they're so loud and proud, right? They're just like, oh, that's stupid, we're not doing. But it's about respect and showing respect to our elders. But then knowing, it also teaches them that there's a better way. That there's more resources now. And I think the education, because you're never too old to learn. So having the youth, our generation, to educate them also.
That's right.
Thank you, very good point. So we're talking basically historical trauma, right? How we protect ourselves, how in the absence of knowing certain who to trust, we can protect ourselves, most of the best. But the truth is we need help. There are times also we do need help. So how can people in your position, like professionals, help us normalize, for example, therapy, help us normalize supportive services, that there is no crime in getting help? And what are some of the challenges that you see when you have conversations with people who know that there's support out there, but there's also some front work that you have to do to just get them to say, okay, I need this help. And who would like to go first?
I will.
Okay.
So I think, just like I was saying, it's all about education. I think education helps, information is education, right? And a lot of times in our communities, again, mainly the older generation, it's those things, pray about it, or everything can't be prayed away. And so it's teaching them that, hey, a lot of these mental illnesses is a chemical imbalance. You can't just pray that way. And just, again, just education. I don't want to say, with educating. That, hey, there's medications that help with this chemical imbalance. There's therapy, there's different techniques, and it's not just prayer.
I know y'all want to jump in.
No, let's just look at it into the literature about not great. And do you see it as a support or complication? It does more harm, or potentially it does more harm than good. And I will let you go right ahead. I saw your face. And I know that you're back shade, but just up my background.
So in full transparency, I'm a preacher's kid, right? And my whole life has been wrapped in, you know, the Bible. And we had a beautiful session earlier that the bishop led. I'm just calling him the Bishop Johns led, which was really enlightening because a lot of times we think that therapy and faith or spirituality cannot coexist, but in actuality in our community, it needs to coexist because faith and spirituality is such a grounding space for us. Where I think we get into trouble, and there were a couple of examples that were given in our session, is when people go to a pastor or to a first lady to talk about something really personal, and then it's broadcast across the pulpit and it's weaponized, right? Because confidentiality is not safeguarded, or when we feel like spirituality is more important than the other. It's not this and that, it's this or that, right? Like the two can coexist together, but I think the easiest way to normalize it is to actually talk about it. When I say to people, oh, I have a session with my therapist on Thursday, they're like, Dr. H, what do you mean you have a session with your therapist? I'm like, somebody who's legally required to listen to my problems so that I can show up as a better wife and a better mother and a better colleague. I'm like, you want me to see my therapist because you don't want the version of me that hasn't seen her this week, right? And so I think that, again, normalizing is really trying to incorporate it into our everyday routine so it's not a standoff, it becomes a part of the culture of what we do.
And I was going to say, to Ebony's point of safe spaces, we have to create safe spaces that we are having those conversations. There's so many things that have transpired, and the person is talking about it like they're the only person going through that thing. And that's like, you've heard that same story from 10 other people, but it's the isolation that is keeping them stuck. And so having those conversations in the larger community, I think helps people come to get help. Because if you're talking to your girlfriends and you're like, girl, I've been experiencing this, and they are going to therapy, they're going to say to you, girl, well, my therapist walked me through this thing. But we have to start having really true safe spaces and having those conversations.
So in addition to that, what other ways, so I'm going to go with Dr. So basically, other ways, or just comments or ways that you see that really practical and people can really get to see, okay, all right. So let's take care of me, because you want me to be a whole person.
So I think the other thing we have to remember is that as Black Christians, we need to make sure that we are free, right? We need to see in all spaces. Whether sometimes social media spaces, whether it's in our communities, whether we got jobs, I think it sometimes is very hard for people to find relationships that are specifically for Black Christians, to find Black Christians in the area, because sometimes, while everybody sees you, one on one therapist, and so it's very hard. Back on the house, we need to know which is all there, we're trying to present people to specific type of people, and also talking about things of religion. We also have to make spaces for other types of religion, right? So people are practicing all types of forms of spirituality, and we have to create spaces we can talk about that as well. Okay? So that's
love that comment. Because I think it's, we live in society. Many of us who are in the church, and we take it for granted that is what is right. We just many of us might just. So, but it is true that there are many of our community members who experience religious trauma.
That's right.
And for us to gloss over that and not acknowledge to give dismissal of their pain and their hurt from religious environments means that they will not be fooled in our perspective of those individuals. So, for example, while we believe in a person's faith, and while I may be from someone who is struggling with that, who is rejected the notions, or who's angry with those spaces and what have you. And that might impact me. I have to be clear that I can't project my stuff onto this because now I want you to have the same feelings, the same thoughts about religion and God and spirituality as I do, so I can check myself and understand. And let me just validate your experience. It's not my shit, but I see you and I understand it, or at least I acknowledge it.
And I just want to add one other thing that we talked about that I think is important is that religion is man-made. Spirituality and faith is an individual personalized journey. And so a lot of things that people attribute to religion and faith, we have to differentiate that. Like, religion is like a building and, I'm Baptist or Southern Baptist or I'm Catholic or what have you, but spirituality and faith may not actually have a fancy title that you can wrap it in, and maybe I'm one with nature, or I do yoga, or I do all these other practices to center myself. And so I think that we also, within our community, we don't have that conversation. Everything is religious based versus faith or spirituality. I think those are very different things, and so making sure we're clear on the language that we're using as well.
I suspect that this next question, given all that, I have something to say about. So I would say that it's on coaching or coaches versus clinicians. And what is happening?
She said, repeat the question.
The question is basically, let's take a look at those who are the coaching, and those who are the clinician, and those who are the these roles. And what is the ethics behind this? Because again, there are lots of people that are businesses, lots and lots of people that are working with clients who are coaches, but they're not clinicians. So, and this is something that we address on the podcast opportunity about the ethics behind coaching, and I call it staying in your lane.
Correct.
So what are your experiences like, or are you utilizing that you work?
So I was actually the one that asked for the question. As a coach, I have a high respect for everything that you do as clinicians. And I know y'all have seen the controversy recently, and I'm not going to call a name, but in that conversation, sitting as a coach in the backdrop, I feel like the conversation that was not had was the fact that even though as coaches, we don't have a licensing board and, we don't have those formal ethics, we should still have a code of ethics. We should still be thriving, striving to do no harm. I'm trying to help you work through a goal. I'm trying to help you work through something very specific. I can't deal with what happened when you was 4 years old, and that's not the scope of what I'm here for. And that's when I have to say, I can't service you. I need to, refer you to somebody that can deal with that, because that's not what I'm doing. So I wanted to bring that to the forefront of the conversation, because I do see it often in the coaching world that people say, oh, well, I went through this trauma, and so now I'm going to coach people through this trauma. First of all, you're not finished. Did you go to someone to help you with the trauma, and did you get the education required to safely take somebody through said trauma? Like, I'm like, let's do your to-do list. Like, that's what we're working on. It's not something of that depth. So I wanted to bring that to the forefront, because I know that there are not other coaches in the room, but hopefully the messaging gets out. Like, be responsible, because you can do people grave harm by stepping outside of your lane.
I want to add something to that. Because I think we can get a conversation about, what are the first needs and intelligence is actually the coach and the conversation. But I had an experience where I was with a client, and I do coaching as well, but to my colleague's point that we were talking about earlier, we have to make a distinction.
Yes.
I have one who essentially coaching, but I was the right there. And he was very, upset or just, not happy with the services because he eventually came after a few sessions and said, listen, I really need you to give me more, tell me what to do. I need it to be more instructional. I'm not his I said, you realize that's a different service. I mean, that's something that we can maybe work on, or I can refer to someone who works on that specifically. As I said, I need you to understand that what we're asking for, our reasons why we're disappointed, is because you're asking for something that's not what I see you do.
Absolutely.
That you're looking for some type of instructional coaching or what have you. And that's fine, but we do need to make a distinction.
Absolutely.
That's right.
I think as a therapist, need to make sure that we are being, because what we're taught as therapists is to not give advice.
That's right.
Which can be difficult because we can't take some.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
So we got to be clear in that distinction.
So I also want to say, because I want to value what you do, because social media is that, right? Everybody does not necessarily need mental health help when they need instruction. Okay, there is a space for coaching, there is a space for counseling, space for support. It is not a shared space. The hard end is not. It is when, like we were discussing, if you're doing one thing that you're not supposed to be doing, right? There are times people say, they're ready, people are going there, people are there, right? But in the coaching space, you can't outline range. You might not be a coach, you might be a life coach, but remember that you might not be a coach. But there is a space for all that, and it's helping. I think where we come in is educating people on what things are. I love following God around, just execute out, because each thing ever, like you all here, it's not available, it's you have to be advised, which is you need.
Anyone else? Okay. Let's get into social media. Let's talk about that. What have you seen or know or researched about social media and the impact that social media can have or is having on mental awareness? And okay.
So, like anything, social media has its good and its bad, right? It can be really great for the exposure. So when people are seeing that, hey, this is something that's common, that is normal, that is something that's very necessary and needed. I think that it becomes very dangerous when you have, people with large followings that are out there giving medical advice or therapy advice on social media, and they're not licensed therapists. Patients, or I just want to say for specific, maybe change, healthy. And that's another thing that social media, like people are not AI for therapy, it's not designed for those things. So social media is a great tool. It gives us exposure. I feel like we all utilize it to know what's out there, so people can schedule appointments. It's important to bring awareness, but it's also very dangerous.
Anyone else experience that?
I'm going a different direction with social media. And so what Dr. Davis said earlier, we all need to be on social media, because what I find is, I have a podcast, I interview women. Most of these women that have the voices that need to be heard don't want to be on social media. They don't want any part of it because of the reputation of what's out there and the misinformation and the loud and the wrong. We have to counter the loud and the wrong with something. If we're not putting voices out there, there's some people that want to follow the loud and the wrong, and they're going to follow it. But there are other people that are looking for voices, and we're not showing up. So we need to utilize it to try to change the narrative so that it's not so much misinformation. It's not overuse of, because once they get a hold of a term, Lord Jesus and Mary, not everybody is a narcissist and everybody, but I'm just saying, so that's what happens. And so we need people who have the correct information, who are supportive of people's well-being and help to be in those spaces so that they're not just getting this loud and wrong information.
We would also like to start thinking about any questions or panel or something related to you, the summit as well. So we have 2 mics. So we're going to do what? Roll with it.
Roll with it.
Roll with it. Okay. All right, take your hands. Now, journalists, I will say she's a 3-time journalist. So we can everything on my own. So I'm leaving the post to you.
Much like the individual from everyone is in narcissism, I feel like it's an advantage for everyone. And do you also feel like everyone is over talking about trauma as if it's bad? Because trauma is bad, but it's something that we need to discuss. And it's not necessarily always bad because you can learn from it. Get your insights on that. I think for many people, it's hard. It's just hard because it means in some cases having to visit or not re-traumatized, but having to work through those pains, and that's difficult. But it is not natural for the body to stay in things like anger, fear, sadness, constantly. It's harmful to our nervous system and to our brains, and so it's natural for the body to want to be in those states. However, it's unfortunate because some of us have lived in very environments that is normalized for us. It feels normal. So even though it's not healthy for us, we live in these dysfunctional environments that feels normal for us. And even in an odd sort of way, we feel safe because it's familiar, not necessarily because it's healthy.
So you will hear me say often that I think vocabulary and words matter. And I think that sometimes we will go to a word because it's most familiar. So I heard trauma used a lot today, trauma-informed responses, reliving trauma, generational trauma. And I think that, what I try to do is to utilize the entire English dictionary. So I rarely use the word balance. When I'm working with a client, I will say, how are you bringing harmony into your life? And they'll say, tell me more about harmony. And I go to a music reference. Like there are times when I'm singing lead, and so I need to be louder and have a microphone, and then the background is harmonizing behind. But then there are times when I need to blend, right? So there are times when I'm a great wife and mom, there are times when I'm an excel. Doesn't mean that I'm a terrible person, but it just means that my life is not, I didn't have good harmony for that day versus balance. I've never met her. I don't know where she is. She just existed in my life. And so when people say, you need to bring your life into balance, I'm like, that's not relatable to me. And so I think that it's important to allow people to use the word that best describes how they're feeling in that moment. So it might be trauma for them, it might be pain, it might be sorrow. Again, I think that sometimes people lack vocabulary, so I have all these vocabulary sheets from the vocabulary to say, let's just use some other words that we might potentially be able to use. And I think that sometimes we go to what is familiar to us, and it may not be that, but I also don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. Here are all parts of our environment, right? And so sometimes we adapt the language of the environment that we are a part of, and we need someone to introduce something new to us so we can expand that growth. So again, I do understand what you're saying about things being overutilized. We heard the word resilient a lot. We had a healthy discussion about it in our last section around, is it overutilized? Is there another word that we should use or what have you? I don't know if it's right or wrong. I think it's just a preference is what I would say, because we may lack other vocabulary to describe the feeling.
raise their hand?
Yeah, when Dr.
We have already social media and we are, I'm sure lots of people are already, when they see their doctor or their therapist, they are doing what we problem is and the potential solutions. How will you as a physician help people to understand that you are in the best position to give them that information as opposed to them providing you with information that they just want to accomplish?
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
That is a very good question. But I think a lot of times when I'm working with my staff to remind them that the best person is never really understand their lives in themselves. So I want to empower you with my knowledge as look at it as a mirror. And you want to see what's in front of you. You want to see your reflection. Now I get it. I get up right before. But it's you looking at yourself, which you need to do. So I think a lot of times, we spend a lot of time in our session trying to get people to use our knowledge to empower themselves to make decisions. And because we don't like to do that, right? I mean, you might not know the question, but we all like to do that, right? I just want to add also, it's a matter of fact. So clients come to me and they say, oh, Jack said I have this. First of all, what I need to do. Let's start there. Second of all, I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong because trauma is in the eyes of the people.
That's right.
Okay, so let's look at what Jack said. Let's break it down about who's an educator. Let's break it down and let's go around. Here's what it is. What is your experience today? Okay, great. We know that DSL, which is basically the society, tells us there has to be certain criteria for a clientele of certain position. If Jack told you to meet all those sides, and you agree that you meet all those sides, well, I can't say you don't meet all those sides. All right, right? The biggest focus for me is not how you do it. How do you look at your individual experience and how do you address it in a way that it works the best for you?
Now, I might tell you this on the fire.
Now, this is what I'm not saying about actually, what I'm saying is, that's interesting. What brought you to that conclusion? What made you think that? Oh, this is your daughter. She said this is your daughter. So you think that your daughter.
So, really great question. Similar to what Ms. Allen said, I love to bring up the DSM criteria because just last night, clients, I think I'm bipolar because my mood goes this way. No. So, what bipolar is, what the test is like, oh no, that's not. So, again, education, but I get this a lot when it comes to medication. Everyone comes and they know they look up what their medication is. And I'm like, we go through it. I like to say pros and cons of each. But again, sometimes when people are locked in, like, this is what I want, it can sometimes be difficult to talk them out of that. But again, providing education is always, I think, is always the best thing. Education, just giving them the knowledge and saying, this is why this isn't the best medication for you or the best approach. And this is why, give you some other options to see how you feel about those. Yep. And when it comes to certain medications, though, controlled substance type of shit now.
Just want to answer that, Chad can be very affirming and validating, maybe sometimes shit. And so, what a therapist or clinician can do is challenge some ideas here or cognitive dissonance that maybe you don't have. If you have, I know you say it's like you do one thing and say something else, right? And always teach that type of nuance because sometimes you visit from a person and say, well, how are you feeling? In other words, say, let me get this is something to change, all of those things. And so when we need a human being that is able to have skills,
That's right.
able to see those nuanced things that they can't even always get in the textbook. Some of it has to experience.
That's right. That's right.
What advice as professional solutions and coaches that you have for who are like you, who are really slow, that really have a hard time emotionally and even socially, and comes over, never making eye contact with anyone, but it's real. And what do you think we need to advise, if not to the individual, but to the family members who are suffering from their concern? While you guys think about your question, I have one more question about the because she's
So she wants us to answer this question first.
Oh, okay. So one, the kind of like question. One for the youth, because I saw some in here earlier today. Comparison. Comparison is the beauty joy. And everything is social media, looking at comparing my life to what it looks like. That everyone else has that perfect life. And so it makes me always feel like I'm behind. And I think that that's something that we were able to fortunately grow and develop our friendships and all those things before these things existed. But I also see the fact that people of my generation and older generations as well is just comparing yourself to someone high will always be filled up. And I think that part of it comes from a lot of depression, anxiety, just those different things.
I still believe that the home environment, the place in which the child is growing up, has the biggest influence over how they're going to engage and interact with the world. And so, yes, they have social media, yes, they have their friend groups, yes, they have the sports that they're a part of, but parents or people who are rearing the children, grandparents, are still the first teachers. And so I think that those first interactions are what really gives our children grounding. So I remember the debate, my youngest is 19 now, and I remember the debate when she was 8 years old. Everybody in her class had a cell phone. And everybody was like, oh, Belinda, you need to give Z a phone. I'm like, why? I drive her to school, I pick her up from school, every activity that she goes to, I'm going to take her. And it was a huge debate, and so I felt all of this pressure as a parent to give her a cell phone like she doesn't need it. So I was feeling like I needed to protect her. And she still didn't get the phone until she was like 10 because she was going to start riding her bike to school. And then there were 3 numbers that were programmed into the phone. There was no social media. So I do believe that we have a responsibility to give foundational tools to our children. Like we cannot prevent them from, we can't protect them from everything that's going to happen to them external to our home environments. Like when they go to school, they're in a different environment. When they're going to sporting events, they're in a different environment. But I don't necessarily see social media as a bad thing as long as we've equipped our children on how to navigate. It's another tool that's in their toolkit. It's our responsibility to teach them how to interact with it. I put an app on my phone, and when my daughter got on Twitter or when she got on Instagram, I could see everything that was happening on her phone. So I would just bring up things casually in conversation, like, so, you know, what song is trending? What's happening? She said, Mommy, how do you always know these things, right? I never told her I was tracking kind of her social media status, but I wanted to know what she was seeing and what she was being exposed to so that I could offer the counter message to the message that she was receiving. And it wasn't until she was like 15 or 16, she was like, I know you got that app on your phone. I did, but it wasn't so that I could again, I wanted to know what was going on so that I could offer a counter message to what she was experiencing. And there's only so much protection we can do of our children. They're going to have to experience life and know how to navigate it. But we also need to make sure that we're giving them the correct information and how to utilize the tool to better their lives.
Yeah.
We have one question and another question over here, so.
Can I add to that real quick, Monica? So we talked earlier about the Superwoman syndrome. I think we got to stop passing that down. I do a lot of career days and different things at my alma mater, Xavier. And when I'm talking to these girls, they are wound so incredibly tight. And my whole platform is anti-grind culture. That is the podcast, that is the coaching, everything is surrounding that. And so I'm always up on a stage and people are telling them do this and do more and do more and do more. And afterwards, I'm always the one that has the line because I'm telling them, calm down. You're 19, you're 20, you have your whole life ahead of you. And every 10 years, you're going to find out that you didn't know anything. You thought you knew and now you don't know. And half the people on the panel didn't start out doing the thing that they were doing originally. We have to end this because these girls are dying, literally in their 20s and 30s, because they're trying to keep up with all the stuff they're seeing on social media. They're trying to keep the pace, and the pace is getting higher. The standards are higher than they ever were, and these girls can't handle it.
Okay, so we are living present day in a society in which we have the politics, we have the social media, we have the financial economy issues, and we're homeless. Then in our real world, we're also parenting, we're also taking care of our parents, and all of the things at our jobs. So my questions to you all as clinicians and as coaches and people who are constantly hearing other people's problems, how are you managing your own mental health and filter that in a way that you are not experiencing secondary trauma or post-traumatic stress, and not consuming it yourself? So just want to understand how you all are taking care of yourself in this current society, plus your personal lives, plus your lives.
That's a great question.
Dr. Davis was going to.
She gonna start.
I got to figure it out.
I have all that. I have therapist, I have a coach, I have a community to cut all things off. I have no things wrong. When I need help, I go in and I clean my mouth, and then I take care of my hair, I hold it to me. There I have a around, I'm up with, and I'm smiling. I'm taking care of do that, and I'm going to work, I got to put it together. We have to be honest when we need help. And I know some of us do not have a lot of community. But I think we're creating communities from university. Sometimes I think we look at community up and down and people that's wrong. It's okay to meet people as long as I'm community. And maybe all the way off. Y'all heard about us. Maybe create a community on each other if you need extra. In the earth season, I have all of it.
I think I spoke to it a little bit earlier. It's about harmony for me, and so I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I work outside the home, I have a private business, I travel, and we talked about it a little bit at lunchtime. I drag my husband and I came, and sometimes he's like, baby, I gotta work. I'm like, oh, okay, you stay and work, I'll go travel, kind of a thing. So I do think that it's important to let your yeses be focused on your why, and let your no's be just those complete sentences. It's not a cliche, and I'll use myself as an example. I'm on my second marriage, right? There won't be a third because me and Mr. Hyperlife are great. But what I will say is that it's about literally putting harmony in your life that really works for you. And every season is different, and so you have to be able to have conversations with your children. You have to have conversations. I'm in the sandwich generation. I'm taking care of aging parents. I have young adults, and then I have a spouse, and none of that is secondary to me. And so it's like wherever I am trying to be fully present in that moment. Like if my husband and I plan date nights, it's not something that we expect that's gonna happen. We plan it, we put it on our calendar, the kids can't come, it's just me and them, and we're going away. Even if it's in our backyard, we're going to the pool on date night, don't open that door, because it's about us, not you, right? I also bake in self-care. I used to be over 400 pounds. At my heaviest, I was 402. And I literally get to put some things in place because I didn't want to die. So I got a nutritionist, I have a trainer named Carl, I've been taking pictures of my food that I've been eating since I've been here because it's accountability for me. I take baths and I lock the door and I turn on my music and that's my time. Don't knock on the bathroom door when I'm in the bathtub kind of thing. So I try to compartmentalize my life in a way where every day I'm doing something that brings me joy because we go to work to provide for our families, but that's not our life, right? We work so we can have the lives that we want. We take trips, we plan vacations, and we do those things. And again, I write, and so when I write it out in my journal and I close the book, I'm done with it. And I move forward. So I also write, I do poetry, those kinds of things, so it doesn't have to stay in my head and in my heart. I can just get it out and move forward. So it's a combination of things, and nothing is perfect, but I think you have to be intentional, is what I would say.
Intentionality.
I had that same question.
We'll share.
We were all curious.
Open up Pandora.
No, but I was just going to piggyback on that intentionality. I do calendar detox with my clients and I do it for myself. And I make sure that I'm very intentional about how and where I spend my time. I was telling Renika earlier, I don't know who planned this week, but they didn't do it right. But next week is open, right? And so sometimes there are busy seasons. Sometimes something's going to happen. Life is going to always happen, but we have to be intentional about how we set up our recovery. So there's certain seasons I know are going to be busy. I make sure that I have a trip planned or a break planned, the week off after that, so that I have the time to regroup. And I mean, anytime you're giving of yourself in that way, it's a different type of tired.
I'm learning from everyone's answers today so that I can too be there.
Yeah. It's a journey.
That's
It's a journey. It's a journey. That's right. That's right. It's a journey. It's a journey.
I do some things that I share. I guess to somebody who wants to see it also.
Yeah, it's a journey.
Trying to make sure. But one of the things that I think I do pretty well that also gets me in trouble as well is I'm very easily able to be detached from my phone.
That's awesome.
So I can be detached. I look at that.
Exactly.
But I do some other things. I love like fantasy and comedy, especially those things kind of just take out or allow you to see it just kind of de-stress.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you all.
Oh, yes.
First of all, I want to give a round of applause to our panelists. You all were amazing. And one thing that I have to say is that every single person on the panel is there by design. I am a social worker. I am team social work all the way, but it was very important that I had at least one counselor. it was very important that I had someone who doesn't identify as a clinician because I can't help everybody.
That's right.
And I can't send everybody to Avery or to Mr. O, right? And so it takes a village to make sure that all of our people across the board are getting what they need, all right? So what we talked about today, what happens in this house stays in this house. All you need is Jesus. Then people can't tell you what's going on with you. You just need to pray. You just need to nap. You know, I don't know about y'all, but when I was sick, lay down and take a nap. When I was sick, like, what? I'm the truth. But the reality is that for most of us, we are not all the same, but for most of us, we grew up with a core set of beliefs about the way that we attack illness. Whether it's physical illness, go lay down, watch Young Residents and drink the salt. Whether it's mental illness, nothing wrong with you, the nerves is bad, right? Even without the language. We all have a commonality amongst how we tackle some of these myths, also known as stigmas. This was a really great way to start this conversation, and I am looking forward to continue the conversation. Most of you know that I was a part of a wonderful, amazing book project that was Amazon Best Down.
11.
And I'm really, really proud of that book. I'm so proud of it and so excited to announce that I am venturing on the journey to start a book project myself. Not because I have a story to tell. So this book project will be full of contributing authors who are all Black therapists. The same way, I don't know about y'all, we're not just on this, but I could have gone another 45 minutes. Yeah. I could have gone another hour with this very important conversation. And so what I want to do is create a space where we can all tell the story about the myths and about the stigmas that prevent so many of the people who look like us, who share our experience, from sharing their story, one, sharing their story, and two, getting the support that they need to break some of the cycles that need to be broken. So, I have a board here. If you are a therapist of any kind, nurse practitioner, social worker, counselor of any kind, and you are interested in learning more about this wonderful, amazing book project, I'm coming in, I'm speaking it, it's going to be a best. If you are interested in just learning more, you're going to simply fill out this, your information on this board. There is also a column. Sometimes I can imagine stuff. There is also a column that says refer permission. So if you know somebody else who may be interested, please put their name and number. Before we close out, I do want to make sure that everybody that's in the audience, if there was one last burning thing you wanted to mention about the summit today or about the wonderful panel, speak now of Fairfield. That was yes, Doctor.
I just want to personally thank. Okay. I want to personally thank Ebony for the invitation. We met at Tulane University School of Social Work book fair, and we kind of connected on a level, and we had a conversation. She told me about her business, and she invited me here, and I just want to say thank you because I learned a lot. I met a lot of new people, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you all and connecting with you further.
Yeah. All right, guys, I have held you all long enough. Thank you so very much. We are already in the planning phase of Flow 2027. Note to self, fix a lot of stuff, but also repeat a lot of stuff because overall it was an amazing. Thank you for being a part of it. Oh, last thing, we have to do in your folders. there is an evaluation that says overall summit evaluation. If you receive CEU, if you need one article, if you receive CEU, you must complete that summit evaluation in order to make sure that your CEUs are solidified. If you need to fill that out, feel free to get CEU, I'll get you one. If you are not worried about CEU, you don't need to fill it out, you can consider yourself.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, so much. Dr. Thompson, Teacher Ash, and Dr. Williams, and Dr.